Welcome back for our Newsmaker segment. He just celebrated his 100th day in Congress, and what a time to be a freshman in that body. Chuck Fleischman represents District 3 in the state of Tennessee, and thank you very much for being here.
It's always great to be back. Thank you.
Let's talk about what happened Friday and really into Saturday morning is when you took the vote on this short-term stopgap budget. You supported it, and you support the long-term deal that's going to come together hopefully later this week.
That's correct. We'll probably vote on it Thursday. It was a very, very busy time. We've been working in the House a long time, doing our job, trying to close out fiscal 2011. Now, this was the budget that should have been done by the last Congress, was left undone. This is for the fiscal year that ends actually the 30th of September of this year. A lot of hard work. We kept going back and back and back to the Senate with proposals, and finally at the last hour, literally at the last minute, we were able to work out a very good deal.
I'm sure you've heard from your constituents, but a lot of people out in America and certainly in Tennessee saying, is this any way to do the people's business? What's your thought on that and how things have played out in your first 100 days?
Well, again, this was a leftover from the last Congress where the liberal leadership failed to do their job. To operate the government without a budget is indefensible, and that's what they did. They left this for the 112th Congress to deal with. And I will say this, the House of Representatives, led by the 87 new freshmen, got in there, we rolled up our sleeves, we worked hard right away, and we got the job done. We kept coming to the Senate with proposals. We had some CRs where we continued to cut spending, and that's the key. We've got to get our fiscal house in order, and we kept coming with proposals. Fortunately, I went on Friday afternoon to the Senate steps with some of my other members and said to Senator Reid, please come to the table and get the job done. The final deal basically is about $39 billion in cuts in fiscal 2011, and it's a start. It's a drop in the bucket, but it's a start in the right direction of fiscal responsibility.
And let's talk about that direction, because Paul Ryan of Wisconsin says he has a plan. I think he calls it the Roadmap for America, which you like, you support. That's eliminating our national debt in about 10 years. Now, a lot of people don't like the roadmap in the sense that it doesn't cut things like Social Security, makes some deeper cuts in Medicare. They feel like defense is not cut enough. What's your perspective on it? I know you support it.
I do support it. And let me Chairman Ryan and our entire Republican conference, one of the things we want to do is protect seniors. People 55 and over will be protected. We don't want seniors scared, and we don't want anybody on the other side to try to play a game of scare tactics. Very, very important. So the budget, we've got to get it under control. We're spending far too much money. Actually, we're borrowing far too much money. We just cannot even tax our way out of it. I wouldn't want us to try, but they're spending and borrowing too much money. We've got to get our fiscal house in order. Chairman Ryan lays out a very, very good plan to do that, and hopefully we can get to a balanced budget. Incidentally, just last week, I co-sponsored a balanced budget amendment to the United States Constitution. That too ultimately is something we need.
But don't you have to attack some of those places that are big chunks of the pie? Defense, Social Security, as well as Medicare and Medicaid. The rest is really is a drop in the bucket, as you mentioned earlier.
2/3 of the federal budget is what we call mandatory spending. That has Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. But Social Security, again, will be safe for people 55 and over. That is the pledge that the Republican Conference has made. Now, for younger people, we're going to have to look and see what reforms the American people would like and look at that. Medicare, even state governors want to see that reformed. We're going to have to do that. And Medicaid, rather, with the state governors, and Medicare as well. So it's something that we're going to have to look at that on the mandatory side. On the discretionary side, which is 1/3 of the budget, we will certainly continue to get our fiscal house in order, cut where we need to, and just make sure we stop the wasteful government spending.
Lastly, you're going to have to vote on raising the debt ceiling as well. And you said before on our air that you were thinking about voting against that idea and keeping the debt ceiling down. Then what?
Well, this is going to be the third time under the Obama administration that they've asked for debt ceiling. That's indefensible. We can no longer continue to mortgage our children's future, and they're going to have to come to the table, meaning the president and the liberal leadership in the Senate, with something more than just raise the debt ceiling. My answer is no. It's time to get our fiscal house in order.
Will that create all kinds of problems for America if that debt ceiling isn't bumped up?
It'll create a lot more problems if we just go ahead and raise it without any serious concessions by the other side, specifically perhaps something along the lines of a balanced budget amendment and severe spending restrictions. They have got to do something. This administration has just basically said we're going to borrow, 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 spend, 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 and it's time to stop that.
Congressman Fleischman, we appreciate your perspective today. Thanks so much for stopping